good afternoon, everybody. And again, thank you for joining us today. And my name is McKay Bird, and I am the marketing director here at TCN. And on behalf of our entire team, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each of you, and as well as taking the time to be with us today and for today's topic, using your digital channels effectively. I want to take a quick look at today's agenda. First, we've already done a little bit of overview and introductions, but our presenter will go over some digital channels and the strategies related to that, and then as well as going into a live product demo. And as I mentioned before, we will also go through some Q&A. Today's speaker, we're really excited to have Taylor Checketts with us today, and it's my pleasure to introduce him. We are thrilled to have him, Taylor Checketts. He is one of our senior sales executives, and he brings a wealth of experience in healthcare receivables, collections, and as well as the RCM space. Taylor Checketts has a deep understanding of technology and its transformative potential in business operations. We are incredibly fortunate to have him share his knowledge with us today. And with that, Taylor, without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. So Taylor, take it away.
All right. Thank you, McKay. Yeah, so as McKay mentioned, I'll be going over the topic, are you using your digital channels effectively? And before I start that, I just wanted to give a little bit more of a personal background of myself. So I've actually been working here at TCN for 13 years now. For the last 10 years, I've been working specifically with our healthcare industry and extending solutions to our healthcare clients. Now, with our webinar and demo today, I may say, patients or hospitals or things like that, but that's just because that terminology is etched into my mind. So keep in mind that all the solutions that I show to you today can be used in any industry, and they're applicable to any of you as clients of TCN. So just keep that in mind as we go through the system. And to break the ice and to get started, I know many of you will have questions. The beard has been growing for about 4 years now, and I just cut like 4 inches off of it. So I know that question comes up on a lot of these video calls. So to start us off, give me just a second. Okay, so TCN Operator. Many of you are familiar with our vision here at TCN. And our vision of TCN encompasses these 6 core areas of this pinwheel that you see here on the screen. The first wheel or part of the pinwheel is the omni-channel communications. And that's what most of our discussion will be on today, is specifically that area. However, please note that we have all of these other critical call center functions that we believe any contact center should or could use while utilizing TCN Operator. So just to highlight a few of those, so we have the omni-channel communications, which is your voice, your text, or SMS, your email, and your chat channels. And then we have our Workforce Engagement Suite. Our Workforce Engagement Suite encompasses our performance engagement, our voice analytics, Q&A, scorecards, performance management for agents. And it also encompasses our new Workforce Management Suite, which will allow you to create schedules, monitor adherence to schedules, and forecast FTEs required in your contact center. Coming down to the third part of the pinwheel, compliance and data management. This allows us to help you stay in compliance with regulatory laws and regulations. Integrations and automation is where we integrate to, payment processors, CRMs, HIS systems. We have a fully developed integrations platform that allows you to take advantage of that. And then the last part of the outside of the pinwheel here is our business intelligence reporting. So TCN, as many of you know, has very robust reporting when it comes to our business intelligence platforms. And we provide full analytics of all of your different omni-channel communications. So with that being said, I kind of just want to set the stage that many of you as clients may only be using one channel, say the voice channel. If you're not using text messaging, email, chat, we have those options available. But we also have this entire array of other contact center features available to you. So some of these things that we go over today, you may have never heard of, and some of them maybe you're utilizing today. And so if you haven't heard of any of these or you want to know more about them, feel free to reach out to your account managers and they'll be happy to help you and come up with a strategy and or solution to whatever you might be thinking you might need in your operations. Okay. So moving on. So now that you have the basic scope and understanding that TCN has all this core functionality built into our platform, we look at the industry and we look at, what do your consumers want? What do your clients want? What do your patients want? And so TCN conducted a consumer survey last year, and 90% of the consumers in that survey said that they are not willing to wait on hold for longer than 10 minutes. So this should bring up some questions in your mind. If you have hold times that are extending past 5 minutes, getting close to 10 minutes, then maybe you need to look at your operations of how can we reduce that? And I'm sure you're already doing that. That's a day-to-day deliverable that you monitor, your SLAs. But one of those options are your self-serve options. And as you can see here from our consumer study, 68% of consumers said that they are satisfied with using self-serve options. And when we talk about self-serve options, we're talking about, inbound payment IVRs, where a caller can call in, look up their account, make a payment. They can look up information in our Journey warehouse to, hear their last visit information, whatever it may be. We can facilitate options in our inbound call trees to allow callers to self-serve themselves, which effectively will reduce your hold times and improve your other SLAs. And then another self-serve option, the click to pay, which is one of the features we'll be going over today, allowing your consumers, patients, clients to be able to make payments easier and more effectively. And then finally, we look at our digital channels. So like I mentioned before, many of you might be using voice, but you might not be using other channels, or maybe you're using one or two more channels. But 75% of consumers in this survey actually prefer using a digital channel via, web chat, two-way SMS, two-way email, versus actually picking up the phone and talking to somebody. So keep those stats in mind as we go through the rest of this deck. So once we have this understanding of the industry, and specifically think about it from your industry, whether you're in collections, whether you're in patient registration at a hospital, whatever your industry is, think about what approach or what channel your consumers would want to communicate with you through. And so the first step of this is your approach. Are you offering digital channels? And if you are offering them, are you monitoring them? So are you looking at the reporting? Are you effectively managing them to make sure that they're being utilized? And then are you streamlining them? So meaning if there's some sort of barrier in your omni-channel, what is it? Is it people can't get through a certain point of that channel? You'll want to monitor those so that you can see how you can streamline it and make it more effective. So a few of those additional offerings that you could utilize through TCN are SMS, email, and when we say SMS and email, there's several different ways of utilizing it, but one of the ways is the click to pay that I mentioned before. With both SMS and email, TCN can generate a link and you can send out mass notification to whoever you want to contact for collections or payment reasons and allow them to click on a URL to make a payment without having to go to a login portal. And then second bullet point here is chat. So if you're a client utilizing TCN today and your call center agents are utilizing TCN for voice, we also have a chat channel in that same platform to where your call center agents can log into chat. They can see if your consumers are responding two-way SMS through email and or through your web chat, right from the same portal that your agents are already used to. So taking those additional channels and blending them into your voice channel is ideally what you want to do to increase your communication across your contact center and meeting your consumer where they want to communicate with you. So take this first approach of offering the solutions. And then if you're offering them, take advantage of the reporting that TCN has available to be able to monitor those digital channels. So as you can see here on the screen, we have usage reports that'll help you measure your ROI. We have live dashboards that'll help you measure your SLAs and making sure that you're getting to your communications at the speed that you need to. And then we have overall aggregate reporting that shows you how you're doing overall in your operations. And then the third step is taking that approach of first offering it, monitoring it through reports, and now fine-tuning those additional digital strategies. So your digital channel strategy should consistently evolve with your business and customer demands. So I want to be very clear when I say this is a lot of clients and a lot of people in the industry will implement a technology and it's working great and everybody loves it, but then it doesn't evolve and then it becomes archaic and people stop using it and it's missing features and functionality, or it's not facilitating the need that it used to. And so once you've actually started offering these digital channels, just make sure that you're always trying to enhance them and always listening to your customer feedback on where it needs improvement. As everybody on this call knows, technology is always changing. And that's why TCN is here. TCN is staying at the forefront of that technology, and our developers work day in and day out to make sure that we are providing leading edge technology in all of these areas. So one of my favorite quotes here, and I use this in my personal life, is a comfort zone is a beautiful place to be, but nothing ever grows there. So if you implement something and it's comfortable and it feels good and you have good reports, that's great. And it may sustain itself, but you want to continue to grow that operation as well. So with all that being said, I kind of want to dive into the actual features and functionality and show you some screenshots, walk you through how they work. And so this one in particular, we'll start with Click to Pay. And this adds a fully mobile experience for collecting payments. Now, Click to Pay offers the ability to send text messages and or emails with secure links to a payment screen where your customers will be able to authenticate themselves, see their balance and their statement, and make payments. And so here's a few screenshots of how it works. So when you initiate a campaign in TCN, so you send us a flat file, we pick up the flat file, and there's a list of consumers that you want to contact. TCN will take that list of your consumers, we'll run it through our pipeline flow and list management services, and we will generate a URL for each one of those records in that list. So every single consumer in that list is going to get their own unique URL. And with that unique URL, it's tied to their demographic data. And so when it's tied to their demographic data, that's how we have them verify their identity. So when they receive the text message on their cell phone or an email, they click on the link, it brings them to this page. This page here can be completely customized to match your brand, your logo, your colors. And so just know that this will be completely flexible on what fields are available and the color schemes and the logos. But basically what you're doing is you're sending your consumer to this screen where they know their demographics. Now, this is the difference between a typical text message that you receive that sends you to a portal where you have to have a username and a password. This allows you to verify through demographics instead, because we know a lot of times patients will forget their username, they'll forget their password, and they won't be able to log in, and they won't want to go through the process of resetting a password, so they just abandon the payment altogether at that point, and you miss that opportunity. And so with allowing them to verify through demographics, it's a lot easier for them to get into the payment screen, to view their statement, and to process a payment. So with that being said, once you implement Click to Pay, TCN will provide the reporting to be able to help you monitor the ROI. And so these stats specifically were for a healthcare facility that implemented our text to pay solution. And when they implemented it, in the first month of their use, they collected $157,000, which was a 30 times return on their investment. And it was 200% more effective than their previous SMS solution. Their previous SMS solution was sending their patients to a portal where they had to use a username and password combination. And with that username and password combination, there were people dropping off because they didn't want to have to reset their password or try to get into the portal. So that's where we measured that 200% more success rate, with those patients actually able to verify through demographics instead. Okay, so this is still following our theme of this call is we want to offer a solution, click to pay. How does it work? We create the portal and we set it up, and then we monitor the ROI. And then as we monitor the ROI, we can see the effectiveness of it. So the TCN reports for click to pay will actually show you each step of the process that a consumer goes through. So if they receive the text message and they clicked on the link, TCN will track how many clicks there were on the link. If they make it to the verification page and they get through the verification page and they're on the statement page, it'll show you how many of those consumers actually viewed the statement or the bill page. And then it'll even show you if they moved on to the payment page and whether they successfully made a payment or not. So we will effectively show you their progress through the click to pay process so that you know whether it's being effective or if you need to streamline something like I mentioned before. Maybe there's something on the statement that's not clear to them. Maybe you need to adjust the statement page and so that it's more clear and people continue to move on through the process. Okay, so that's the click to pay solution. Now moving on to other omni-channel communication options that you can provide to your consumers. Now, I mentioned them previously, but here they all are laid out. So we have email, web chat, text, and SMS. Now, the most important part of what I'm going to show you here today is all of this is two-way communication. And so if you want your call center agents that are logged into TCN's platform taking phone calls to be able to also handle these additional channels, you can give them the skill to be able to do that. Now, I always like to point that out that it is still skill-based. So if you have specific call center agents that you want handling voice calls and only voice calls, you just give them that skill, that's all they receive. But if you have agents that you want to have, that you want multi-trained to handle these other channels, we can create skills for each one of these channels so that you can just give this agent the email skill, you can get this agent the web chat skill, and so forth and so on. Or you can just give all your agents all the skills and everybody can work in a blended environment. So it's flexible to meet your operations. You know, we have several clients that have implemented these solutions and they all have different strategies of what works best for them. Where they have their voice agents doing one thing, they have their web chat agents, or they have a mix of the two. So completely flexible in that use case. Now, here are just a few screenshots of the actual omni-channel view. So your call center agents, they're used to the operator voice platform. They're used to taking calls on it. So it makes sense that we put the text channels available right there on the same platform. And so when your agents switch over into the omni-channel view and they start responding to two-way text messages, to emails, or to web chat, it's very familiar to them. It doesn't have a learning curve. It's very easy for them to adapt to it and start utilizing it. Here's another screenshot. This is canned messaging. So this canned messaging can be used in both text message conversations, email, and or web chat, to where you can come in and you can create canned messages to help the conversation move along. You know, this allows your agent to respond quicker to each request that comes in. It helps them avoid typos and just facilitates them to be able to be more effective. And so as you can see on the screenshot here, we have a text conversation, we have an email conversation, we have a web chat conversation. They all have different icons so that your agent knows what type of conversation or medium that the consumer is utilizing to speak with them. And it's just like any chat system. So you'll have a chat widget on your website. TCN actually allows you to build the chat widget if you're using web chat directly in our platform. And then you can just copy the snippet of code, send it to your web developers. They can put it right on your website. Or if you're advertising a text messaging phone number. So on your website, on your bills or statements, you could put in a blurb that says if you'd like to chat with an agent, text us here and provide them with your source number. And then as a consumer picks up their phone and texts you, it'll pop right up into this portal for your agents to be able to assist them through two-way text messaging. And then again, once you start offering all these additional channels, what are you doing to monitor them? And so TCN provides all the reporting on every single channel through our operator business intelligence 2.0 reporting. So again, another case study here where we were able to implement additional channels, web chat and two-way SMS, and a client immediately saw a 20% reduction in caller wait time, an 11% reduction in abandoned calls, and a 40% increase in their CSAT surveys. So a lot of this is tied to the SLAs. This particular client was able to get to more conversations, speak to more patients throughout the day, and be able to better their SLA averages across the board. Okay, so now this is the fun part. So as the audience, I am actually going to give you access to our click to pay demonstration. So before I do that, I kind of want to show you how it works. So before we get into it, this is a demonstration of how click to pay works. So just assume that I was a patient or a debtor or a customer of generic logo company, and they just sent me a text message. And so I'm receiving this text message and I'm clicking on the link, and then it's asking me for my last name and my last four of my social. Now, these demographics can be customized based off of what you want to ask the customer for. So if you wanted to ask for zip code instead of social security number, because a lot of recipients wouldn't want to put their social security number into anything. So you could ask for different types of demographics if you want. But in my particular case, for my demo purposes, this text in the blue is just for demo purposes that wouldn't actually show to the recipient, but we'll type those in, we'll verify who we are, and then it brings up a statement page. So this page is completely customizable on what you want to display to the recipient. So in this particular case, this was a patient visiting a hospital for a surgery for a broken arm and what their invoice total is. And so these particular fields, as I mentioned, can be customized. So if it's not anything related to healthcare, it doesn't have to be healthcare related. It could be related to an outstanding bill for Verizon or whoever you may be collecting for. But just know that you can customize these fields and create a full experience for the person utilizing this system. So once they verify, as I mentioned, TCN will know whether they've viewed the statement page. We'll show you that in the reporting. They can click on pay statement, they can click on cancel, or they can even click on contact us. So if for some reason on this page, something looks off, they're not expecting the total to be $1,390. Maybe their insurance hasn't made a payment yet. They can click on contact us. They can see all your contact information, or they can go back and click pay on statement. Now, once they get to this page, they can enter in the information that they need to and then process a payment. So I'm just going to do this really quick so that I can show you how it works. And then we'll get into the live demonstration where each of you can actually do this yourself. So I put in all my card information. One thing to point out is I'm having in my demo here the patient to pay the entire balance. So it's just showing the balance due and it's asking them to process the payment for the total balance. Now with each of our integrations, you actually have the ability to have an amount field on here. So it doesn't have to be the total balance. It'll show the total balance, but you can have a balance field listed in the options down here where they can type in, you know, I can only pay $100 today. Let them type in $100 so that you can at least collect that much. And then we click submit payment. And so as long as that payment goes through successfully, they'll get this payment successful page, they'll get a transaction ID number, and it'll show just some additional details. Now, one thing to point out, so back to the beginning of my presentation when I was talking about the operator pinwheel and that integrations tab. So TCN is integrated with many payment processors and merchants out there in the industry. So depending on who you're utilizing for your payment processing, we may be integrated with them. If we're not, we can work towards an integration with some of those processors. But basically, this payment successful page is TCN sending that payment to your processor and them responding back via API, whether that payment was successful or not. And so if the card is declined, or if there's insufficient funds or things like that, it'll show that on the screen as well. And so depending on our integration, they'll reply back with the specific reply message. We'll display that. And then the consumer or patient in this case will have the note whether the payment was successful or if it was failed for some reason. So that is the demonstration. Now I want each of you, if you would like to go ahead and interact with the demo yourself. So I'm going to leave this screen up for a second. So go ahead and take your cell phones right now and then start a text message to this phone number, 866-912-2177. And all I want you to do is text the word TCN, all in lowercase, to that phone number. As soon as you text TCN to that phone number, it'll auto respond and provide you with a walkthrough of what my demo was showing from the patient experience. So I'm going to go ahead and give 2 to 3 minutes right now. I'll just stop talking for a minute while each of you go ahead and do that. Okay, I believe that's probably sufficient time for everybody to be able to go in and interact with the demo. Now, the last thing I want to do is just quickly show you, as many of you are familiar, the TCN operator voice platform. If your call center agents are utilizing TCN, you're probably used to this screen where your agents are able to see their status, receive their inbound calls, make outbound calls, connect to the dialer, whatever that may be. But here on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see we have these different channels or opportunities. So we have the voice channel, we have the text channel. This is exactly where I was mentioning that two-way SMS, the two-way email, or the web chat conversations will come into the system. So if this particular agent, Taylor Test, is skilled with any of those additional omni-channel options, and one of those consumers utilizes one of those options, they'll get a notification here. There'll be a number indicator of how many conversations are waiting. They can click on that, quickly jump over into the text platform, and then they'll be able to see all of the different conversations that are available. So you can see my agent, Taylor, has 4 conversations going. 2 of them are two-way text messages, and 2 of them are web chats. Now, as you can see, it's very intuitive. Like I mentioned, you open a conversation, you assist the customer, and you wrap up and close your conversation, just like you do with voice calls. So we want to keep that structure the same for your call center agents so it's not confusing to them. And then once they dive into a conversation, you can see how the conversation evolves through each one of these. And then you still have the ability to do the canned responses, as I mentioned, if I needed to step away for any reason. So if I'm an agent and I'm not available to take any of these chats, I can pause my incoming messages for now, and so forth and so on. So it's a very similar platform for your call center agents, but just wanted to give you a quick overview of how that works on the operator platform. So I hope you all enjoyed the presentation today. We wanted to keep it around 30 minutes, keep it short and sweet for everybody. But we'll go ahead and move into any Q&A that we currently have. So that question regarding how long will the text-to-pay demo link be available? It'll be available for as long as you need it. So when I created my demo instance, I told it to be available for 52 weeks, so for a year. And so you guys can go ahead and utilize that for the next several months if you need to.
Great. No, thank you for that. Looks like we do have a couple of other questions coming in. So yeah, if you have other questions, please ask them. But we have another question that says, for Click to Pay, what gateways has TCN integrated with, or is there a policy that they will integrate with any client payment gateways?
Yeah, so currently we have a list of integrated partners. We have, off the top of my head, so there's Experian Health is one that we're integrated with, Instamed, Payment Vision, There's a big long list. So for that particular question, if you reach out to your account manager here at TCN or even after, we can provide you with a list of who we're integrated with today. And in regards to the policy of who we integrate with, it just depends on establishing communication with your payment gateway provider. And as long as they have an API and they're willing to share that information with us, we can scope the project to see if we will integrate with them. So there's, security risk assessment that goes into that, making sure that both companies adhere to the same standards. But yes, we are open to integrating with additional payment gateways if we do not have the one that you already utilize.
No, thank you for that. It sounds like it's pretty straightforward, and we can work with many payment gateways. Another question that came in is this is more feature related or platform related, but can future payments be set up or are payments just processed in real time at submission?
Yeah, so with the click to pay options, it's just real time. So it's a single time, one use payment. So the person receiving the link will be able to click on that link. And then, as mentioned before, when you're using this in a live environment, we can specify how long that link's going to be available to that consumer that you're sending it to. So if we send a link to a consumer, we might want to specify that this link is only available for the next 14 days or till their next billing cycle. So we can specify how long that is available, but it is a single use. Click on the link, process a payment right then and there. No future payments.
No, that's great. Another question that came in, again, kind of more functionality, but is there after call, text, or live chat survey options available to send consumers to measure level of satisfaction with the rep or with the organization? I'm assuming this is after payment is processed. But it doesn't indicate that, but I'm assuming this is after payment is processed. Is there any type of functionality that can measure satisfaction via survey?
Yeah, so for that particular question, after a specific or after a specific communication, so if you had a phone call, inbound call from a patient to your hospital or to your facility, and you wanted to allow them to take a customer satisfaction survey, we can script surveys. And so that's this. I wanted to scroll back to my reporting here really quick that I'm sharing. We do have CSAT surveys available. So you can customize the questions. So you can see down here, question 1, was the rep knowledgeable and did they take responsibility in answering your questions today? What was the number of times you're calling? Was this the first time you called, second time, third time? What was your overall satisfaction with our contact center today? How likely are you to continue using our facility? And so we take all of the responses to this survey and we put them in reports for you. And so this particular survey is on a score of 1 to 5, 5 being the best. And so you can see on average that this contact center specifically is scoring very well. So yes, we do have post communication surveys.
Cool. That's really cool to see, and as well as the reports to make it visually easy to kind of digest and to share as well. One last question that I see, and again, if there's any last minute questions, please submit them now. But one last question before we close, if there's no other questions, is with text to pay and I'm click to pay, how do you ensure security and privacy of customer payment information? So I'm guessing this is a question more around security and compliance. And can you maybe talk a little bit about what those standards are, or kind of what we do there?
Yeah. So TCN is PCI compliant. So we have our attestation for that. So we do follow all the core principles of keeping payment information secure whenever we're integrating with, payment options.
Oh, great. Well, we don't have any other further questions. We really do appreciate all of you for your time and your attendance, and as well, again, Taylor, for your time and your knowledge in being able to share with us some great insights and some case studies of what the industry is seeing as far as click-to-pay solutions and kind of best practices. But again, thank you. And until next time, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.